Fish for Thought is famous for his fish tank reviews, where you submit an aquariums that he either praises or takes down. And so I desperately need help with my aquariums. Decided to send him some of my past setups to completely roast me on. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what he says. This is going to be a one take blind review. So let's go. Oh my goodness, I'm nervous.
Hope you're having a great start to the week. Happy Monday or Tuesday if you're Australian. Good day, mate. Fish tank. Ooh. Woo. This FTR is not like any other FTR because this one is special. We have a special guest appearing. Yes, Irene from girltalksfish has sent in basically her evolution in this hobby. No, okay, she's not a Pokemon. I just meant her evolution as a hobbyist from beginner to what she, like, what stage she, what? From beginner to what stage she is now. Go check out her channel, by the way, girltalksfish. If you haven't seen it yet, you are really missing out. Go and subscribe because she has very high quality videos. I called it out like when she had like very little subscribers, but now she's over 100K. Congratulations.
This is totally true. Back in the day, we did a collaboration and Chris was like, just keep on chugging. You're going to reach 100K in no time at all. And he's completely right. Although Chris here is absolutely on the hustle train. He's definitely going places.
Okay, first off, we got her first family betta tank, which was a 3.5 gallon. Betta fish here is a crown tail called Darth Vader. That's a pretty cool name. Darth Vader looks very healthy. Best case scenario for a 3.5 gallon with artificial decor. I've seen people just rub salt on the wound where they put SpongeBob decor, and it's like the worst SpongeBob decor anyone could find on this planet. At least that pineapple house looks adequate.
I'm surprised he didn't say more because that was definitely one of the smallest tanks I've ever kept. And yeah, SpongeBob, you know, I got all the colorful, I even have rainbow gravel in there, which he didn't pan down to look at, but it was a kid's tank. It was the family tank.
All right, moving right along, this is first community tank, which is a whopping 20 gallons. That's how we do it. There's a school of neon tetras, nothing too crazy. Albino cories in the bottom. We also see the hatchet fish up top. People who enter the hobby, they don't just go straight for the hatchet fish, okay? So it's a nice mix-up of the combination. And is that an Amano shrimp? Whoa. And is that a ram? You can see Irene deliberately filling out every single niche of the water column. Bottom dwelling Corydoras to the neon tetras in the midground and the hatchet fish in the top, as well as complete with a centerpiece ram and the algae eating Amano shrimp.
That's right. I was already, you know, getting some tips from the masters on make sure you have fish in every level, bottom, middle, top, have your centerpiece fish, get your algae eaters, that kind of thing. So a lot of thought went into this tank. However, we are still not at the planted world yet. So it's definitely, I tried to get as close to real plants as possible while still using fake decor.
From the amazing stocking choice alone for a beginner, I'm putting this up at a 3.9 out of 5. And here we have Irene's first attempt at aquarium plants in a 3.5 gallon half moon. We got the normal Java ferns, we got Java fern Windalow, we got some Anubias, Nana perhaps. That is Nana Petite on the driftwood, the bonsai looking thing. I think the plants that are in the substrate are actually fake. But for first time aquarium plants, this is pretty much, again, as great as it could go. Notice how there's no absurd stocking choice. A solid 3.95 out of 5.
If you can see that little blurry dot in the middle, that is my pea puffer Jinx. So yeah, I tried to just go for all beginner plants because I was deathly afraid of aquarium plants at this point. I was like, I am going to kill anything that goes in this tank. And despite all of my mistakes, like I didn't give these plants any light or fertilizer hardly, and yet they still survived for quite a while. So I probably have some of them even to this day.
This is a second attempt at growing plants, which is a 5.5 gallon betta tank. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for a treat, and so is that beautiful blue betta fish. You can see a deeper substrate, again with the dark color, which I love. Contrasted by the green plants, looks like Sterogen repens, looks like some Bucephalandra ketagang, which is about to flower underwater, and a bit of Okostone. Clean glass, rimless. This is next level from everything else Irene has done so far. Brilliant light up top, definitely not going too long with the photo period because we don't see absurd amounts of algae. And I love the side profile here. It looks very nicely scaped. Oh, I see that there's like an addition of tiger lotus in the back now. And some more tinier Bucephalandra attached to the Okostone. Bucephalandra mini coin. Ah, perfect. The Anubias Nana Petite of the Bucephalandra world. 4.2 out of 5. I'm fighting the urge to say keep it up because we're not done with Irene yet.
So that betta tank, again, like you said, was one of my first or second attempts for, I think it was my first attempt trying to escape a betta fish tank. And absolutely, he was right about not keeping the photo period long, because that aquarium unfortunately became completely full of algae and I was not able to keep several of those plants alive. But it was a really good experiment. And yeah, I got kind of more into the world of substrate and adding fertilizer. And obviously there was only one fish in there, the betta fish, so the bioload was quite low. But I had a lot of fun with that tank for sure. And yeah, the rimless tank, it was my first rimless tank as well. It just elevates everything.
First time aquascaping? You mean to tell me those were not even attempts at aquascaping? They look pretty darn good already, Irene. Now you're working on a sort of golden ratio. You've got nice Seru stones and manzanita or spiderwood in there with some normal java fern and trident java fern. I absolutely love the 8-month progression on this tank because of the attachment of Anubias nanopetite on your wood. It just adds so much dimension to it. That nice school of either cardinals or green neons, some honey or flame gouramis, a nice school of albino corrigan. This is a 4.4 out of 5.
I really like that aquarium. Again, it was back in the 20-gallon high, and it just, it looked really nice. However, I had a lot of fish in there, and then the plants I chose, like Java Fern and Anubias, they definitely do not grow quickly. So it was that classic case of too many fish, too high of a bioload, and the plants aren't able to uptake all of it. So now knowing what I do, I would have definitely put a huge carpet of, well, I shouldn't use the word carpet. I would cover the whole top of that aquarium with floating plants, and that would have probably prevented that beautiful stone from being covered with algae.
Shy Guy's tank. Look at the beautiful floaters up top. We got some Paris feather. We got different sorts of mosses. A big Anubias barteri. Big tiger lotus. We got coleoloches swimming everywhere. I think those are gudgeons that are swimming around as well. Some galaxy roseborras. Irene is just going off. But about 7 months later, apparently it got hit by like the worst algae outbreak in history. The stocking also changed a little bit. There are endlers in this tank. Okay, well, that's kind of cheating, Irene, because
I got the endlers because of you, Chris. Totally. And I absolutely love them. I wish they'd had females in the fish tank, but they only had, in the fish store, but they only had males. So yeah, they're awesome. I definitely want to keep them again.
a 4.45 out of 5 for the version that has not been taken over by algae.
Again, same problem. I would say that tank looked really good when the whole surface was practically covered with frogbit, I believe it was at the time. And then when I started kind of keeping it more contained so it'd be easier to do water changes and it wouldn't just get all over my arm, that's when problems started. And also, I just needed to learn more about fertilization and adding root tabs too, not just liquid fertilizer.
And here is the second attempt at aquascaping. It is a corner-heavy scape with brilliant little lines of wood coming across. Looks like Vesuvius swords embedded through the rock, and we got an apistogramma pear. And then months later, it just became this jungle. Apparently, Irene is using this to breed their fish. What is that, pygmy cories? Are you breeding pygmy cories in here? That's crazy.
That's right! I don't feel like they get enough, like everybody loves them, but you don't really hear about people breeding them that much, and they are not too bad. So check out a future video for sure on them.
And honestly, I love this one even better because it's so natural. 4.6 out of 5. And then we have a tank called the Back to Basics fish tank. I'm not sure why it's called that, but
it's called Back to Basics planted tank because I was just fed up with a lot of my aquariums having horrible problems with being covered with algae, and then that would eventually basically prevent the plants from going because they couldn't photosynthesize at all. And so I was like, okay, I'm basically going to go to the Aquarium Co-Op website and just like hit their beginner plants collection and only buy plants from that section.
The first thing I notice is the brilliant contrast between such a nice lush green background of plants with the brilliant red colors of the Pleiades.
Yes. I love those red-orange dwarf platies. They are the best fish ever. I mean, for a heavily planted tank like me, because I do tend to, even if I scape an aquarium, it tends to eventually go into that jungle-y crazy look. And since most plants are green, they just pop so well in front of them. Highly recommend.
The plant that's grown everywhere might be Pogostamen stellatus. Don't quote me on that. We got Anubias, Cryptocoryans, Java ferns, a big canopy of tiger lotus, just embracing the wildness of this aquascape. And I think my favorite little feature, the sponge filter, because it allows the water to be so calm, yet they have more than enough oxygenation.
You know, I've never thought about that, but yes, most fancy aquascapes, they do go with that clean canister look with like the lily pipes and everything is really hidden. And honestly, the main reason why I'm doing sponge filters is not for aesthetic reasons, although the Aquarium Co-Op sponge is really nice because it is kind of got that green too. It's honestly from ease of use. I just had some problems with my hang-on back filter where I forgot to maintenance it and then it flooded the area under my tank. And after that, I was like, okay, we're going with sponge filters. Check valves, this is never happening to me again. And again, since I keep mostly nanofish, the very mild, gentle current with all the fry especially, or shrimp if I'm keeping them, that's always super helpful.
It does a lot for the aquascape, more than some people might realize. And this is a solid 4.7 out of 5. This is one of Irene's latest tanks, the 5.5 gallon, and she is asking specifically for some feedback on how to make this better. Now, you already have a lot of existing plants in here to work with, so that's an amazing thing. The first thing I would do though is to get that substrate nicely vacuumed because it seems like it is quite dirty down there.
That is very true. Just with planted aquariums, I don't tend to heavily gravel vac them a lot. However, since I have sent him this footage, it is just a little more cleaned up because I added some fish that are just good cleanup crew members. So that can also help you too if you don't want to, you know, get rid of all that nutritious mold.
And then I will move every existing plant, except for maybe that sterogen in the foreground, back, create some space. I'm going to try to find the most perfect piece of wood, and I want it to be a bit more solid, like not flimsy little lines, but a one piece sort of solid that kind of goes up like that. Make that just like smack dab in the middle centerpiece. Nubias nana.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I like this take. I like this take of having, just because I'm so used to having the jungle style non-aquascape kind of tank, but I do like putting some sort of attractive centerpiece hardscape that would take up that room in there.
I would do like 3 to 5 of them around the wood. So now you have this foreground row of plants, a centerpiece wood, and then all the background plants that you already have in this tank. Just my 2 cents on how I would try to improve the look of this tank.
Oh, thank you, Chris. That is really, really helpful, especially since you see a lot of tanks, you know, people are submitting tanks to you, and I think you have a good eye for design.
This has been a pretty comprehensive look into the evolution of a fish tuber. That is girltalksfish. Once again, go follow them if you haven't already. Irene, thank you for giving me the honor of being able to review the steps and processes that you took and that you had on this fish keeping journey. The only thing that is more impressive than how far you've gone from your first fish tank to now is how far you've gone with your channel. Very incredible channel growth. Keep up the good work.
Oh my goodness, Chris, you totally flatter me. I completely thought you were gonna rip me a new one. I think when you criticize, you know, you look at your own tanks, you're a lot harsher with them. So I am completely pleased with this fish tank review. Guys, if you want to see more of Chris, I actually did an interview of him a while back talking about his experiences as being a pet store employee. And then over here, once it releases, there's going to be an interview that Chris does of me with a special little twist to it. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Take time to enjoy your aquariums and don't forget to get your hands wet.